time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand with your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Hello. Welcome to another round of Brandy, and this one is a Brandy shot.
When we see a lot of well-meaning small businesses out there starting out with a brand and everything, and they're doing everything, but what ends up happening is that they end up contributing to probably one of the most critical, debilitating conditions that a young brand can have is it's trying to build and grow momentum, right, Reilly?
Yeah, and you know, giving credit to the entrepreneurs and founders and all the great people we get to work with, where you do see it that they rolled up their sleeves, they started a business, whether it's a service or they created a cool product and they found a niche in the market and they're pedaling their way along.
Maybe out of their garage, right? They started this thing
out of their garage, and they survived, COVID. They survived all the different ups and downs of having a business, and it's no easy job. But that same grit and that same power of what an entrepreneur brings to the table can really start to hinder the brand. So just because they get the business going doesn't mean what they're doing is best for the brand in the long run.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino was quoted as saying, "It's not your job to create your vision. It's your job to have a vision." And basically what he's saying is that you're the greatest showman. You are the ringleader in a circus. And many times starting off in a business can be just that as a great example, right? It's a circus. But as the showman, as the ringleader, you have the vision of what the show is going to look like and what the audience is going to experience. And it's a broadcast vision. Yeah. But then the showman is not the one on the high wire. The showman is not trying to swallow the swords and breathe the fire. He's not in the cage trying to training the dragon, or him and his cohorts, all 20 of them cramming into this tiny little car. Right. The idea is that the showman relies on the people he surrounds himself with, that he loops into the circus to actually focus on what they do best.
Yeah, and then they get stuck with spinning so many plates. They're trying to keep track of everything, and it's just like there's already enough pressure and responsibility and things to keep track of as the business owner or the founder. But the operations and the overall just getting the right team around you, that's much more important for the long-term growth of the business, but more importantly, the brand experience and delivering the utmost value. And a great example of this is really the whole origins of Apple, where you had Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. Wozniak being the specialist and the expert and really the technical hands of computer design and whatnot and programming, but Steve Jobs being the entrepreneur and most importantly the salesman. And really
kind of visionary too.
Yeah, and he then you see how, like you're saying, having this vision and setting the kind of the grand goal, and then the specialists starting with Steve Wozniak, and as they gathered up, then their expertise being filtered through to this goal, because Wozniak almost sold the thing to Bill Gates. Like he almost just like, all right, here you go.
It was tech.
Yeah, and he kind of wrote it off, and Steve Jobs like, no, this is like we can take this like to the market and do our own thing with it and hit a home run. And he had that grand vision. And then you look at there's a classic scenario where Steve Jobs, he was so focused on this vision and his perspective that even with the iPhone, the guys making it, his team, which again, you're dealing with like the top experts in the world making this thing. And he was like, it needs to be smaller. And they're going, no, there's no possible way this thing can be smaller. We have to make room for the, ventilation, and all these technical reasons. And Steve Jobs pretty much was like, he had a vision of this thing being smaller, and his test for it, he would put it in a glass of water, and if any air came out of it, he'd go, it can be smaller. And he kept pushing their expertise. And then finally, they were able to overcome it. And again, their expertise being filtered through this vision that he was like, apparently Steve Jobs is a pretty big jerk about it, where he was just hard-nosed and going, no, it has to be this way. And
but just on Einstein, any of these guys that truly have redefined culture and science and invention were not slightly crazy in that, you know what I mean? But that's what drove that hyper creative element for themselves.
And even, like him or hate him, is like Elon Musk is like his insane, like the insanity of catching a rocket with chopsticks or tunneling underneath cities or electric vehicles driving by themselves or any of these really grand visions. It's not like he's in there programming these things and figuring it out and doing all that.
He's too busy gaming.
He's too busy gaming and tweeting. And so he actually gets the right teams where you get these hyper intelligent people who they do that. That's probably what they dream about and what they think about nonstop. Yeah. And they're able to then go do these things and send rockets up and have them get caught again.
Yeah. And part of the pitfall is it's twofold. One is the skill set, right? I don't know how many young business owners that I know personally even, but that will, but you see it around where they're creating their own website because you have something like Wix or Squarespace where it's like kind of templated, right? And people can go, oh, well, I can get Adobe Illustrator. And so they're buying this software or their Canva and all these other things that are great out there. But problem is anybody can go out and buy dental tools. But you wouldn't want me to start giving you a root canal, even though I could go out and purchase and acquire the tools. Same thing with the software. So there's a level of skill involved, and then there's also passion. Like you said, the people that are passionate about building the things for Elon, and that's something. So you work with someone that is passionate about building websites and curating content, and not only that, but not what you say, but how you say it, and the flow of the experience on the website. Those are all things that should be beyond your skill level because you're good, the business person, doing what you do best.
Yeah. And really, it's like if you're an entrepreneur or a founder or just you started a business. I honestly don't even like the word entrepreneur anymore. That's kind of been tainted for me.
It's so overused.
Yeah,
every person on Instagram, they're an entrepreneur, and I don't even know what they're selling, but they just consider themselves an influencer and an entrepreneur.
If they're part of like a multi-level thing and they're selling stuff, they call themselves an entrepreneur. It's like, no, you don't get it.
Self-employed, you're not.
So that's a side note. But if you're like a founder, if you actually did legitimately start something, it's like it's a totally different beast. And just like Scott's point of The Greatest Showman, it's like Barnum. That's what he was. He pulled this thing together. He connected some dots. Really great salesman. He did some tactics that are a little sleazy, but he was a marketer, a salesman, and he was able to do this thing and pull together different talents that the talents by themselves were less than the whole, right? So he was able to go, there's an opportunity here to really pull together something that's going to be this amazing experience, and he had the opportunity to do that. And I think that's where it's like when you do look at the founder's role, it's like you do have the vision, you do have that, and you need to keep pushing that, and then building up. And almost like in my mind, it's always like scaffolding, where you're like trying to go, okay, this is the foundation, cast the vision, and keep working on the business and not in the business of building that scaffolding, so you can keep supporting it and getting the right technical experts and specialized needs met, so then you can keep increasing the value.
Yeah. And it's understandable because for someone that has started their own business, it's kind of like your baby. It's the thing that you've pieced together, and there's passion involved and there's love involved, and so all the more it's harder for a lot of people to trust, to be able to let go and let an area of their business into the hands of someone else, whether it is an employee, whether it is an outside source. Like an agency or a consultant. Those are hard things for any business owner to do. That's understandable, but you have to do it.
Yeah. And when you think of what makes a great founder, is like you're the type of person who you dug in, you started something, you're probably a type A personality, you go after it, and you'd much rather roll up your sleeves, do it yourself than rely on someone else. And that's great for starting a business, but also it's not great for growing a business or building a brand. And there's ego involved. There's a lot of things like that, but it's also like what got you here will not get you there. And so you're going to max that out eventually. And the skill set that the incredible skill set that you have that helped you start a business, and the courage you have and the bravery to do that, is something that is going to actually hinder the brand in the long run. And getting the right people around you is really important with that. And like Scott's point of even an agency or anything like that, where yes, you can cast the vision and you can have people come along and help interpret that vision and bring it to reality. But just like in management, like great management is going, okay, here's the job. I don't care how you get it done. you go about it the best way possible, but this is the results I'm shooting for. Poor management is going, here's the job. Now I want you to do it like this, and then I'm gonna look over your shoulder and watch everything you're doing, and then I'm gonna critique you and go, no, do it this way. And so then the person actually going about it never has the opportunity to really perhaps even make it better or go about it better. And that's the same thing with this vision casting. As a founder, is like, you can't just cast a vision and then tell everyone how to go about doing it.
Yeah. Every one of you that's listening, I'm assuming, has a job right now, and probably no one likes to be micromanaged. Yeah. So one of the worst things as an employee is when you're micromanaged. You want to be able to be entrusted. You want to be treated that you can make smart decisions and smart things to better the company and the interests of the brand. And so really it's just about a matter of letting go, realizing where you're at in your brand and building your brand, and starting to allow people, good people, skilled people, to come around you. That's really going to set you and your brand, and therefore your business, up for success.
Right.
So,
and ultimately, it's like helping your business in the scope of brand. It's like you're going to be able to bring much, much more value to the market, and then serve your clients a lot better, your customers, and that's just going to help really compound your brand and grow it. So it's just kind of a nice reminder, and something that we see too often, of this multiple hats being worn and this micromanaging. It's cancerous for the business, and it really hinders the brand and what the brand's potential could be. But yes, this was a nice little short Brandy episode on this.
Sip today. So
and hopefully a nice reminder, and more importantly, encouragement of it's okay to let go and rely on people, especially people who they obsess on those things. They are experts in it, and they, that's their life.
And if this has been speaking to you, if we've been talking about you, just be encouraged that, again, just change the script tomorrow. Start looking at ways to start letting go. And it will better you and better your business and better your brand. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As always,
until next time,
cheers.